Well. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Ben. How are you?
I'm okay. You seem a bit down. How are you?
No, I'm fine.
Yeah. So,
as well as can be expected, given the troubling times with which we find ourselves.
oh yes, and they are very, very troubling times indeed. Good afternoon to those watching live over on YouTube, on Twitch, on Rumble, and good morning, good evening to anybody else, anywhere else. This is episode. John, I don't do the introductions, you do.
So I'd like to welcome one and all to this episode 122 of Chasing Dissent Live. 122. From me,
122.
the man formerly in the van and now hunkering in the bunker, and from Ben on the south coast studio of this fair land that we once called England.
I mean, I think we still do call it England, John.
Well, do we really? Do we really? Because it's becoming unrecognisable on a daily basis.
You know what? I have to wholeheartedly agree with you there. But, you know, it's a Thursday. We don't have the third wheel today, so no moving visuals until we can sort out a new way to do that. We were on the fly. But, it's Coffin Watch, isn't it, John?
I can't believe that the term Coffin Watch would trend on Twitter. But then again, I can believe.
What we're seeing is British people queuing. I've got a live queue tracker up, John.
Well, you can't beat a good queue. You know, if you're British, surely you embrace the queue.
So would you like to know the current length for the queue for the Queen lying in state?
Well, early estimates were going to be it was like 5 miles. So.
Well, it's currently at 4.2 miles, and the nearest landmark is Tower Bridge, John.
So that's almost doubled since last night.
Yeah, it was at 2.4 miles when we were watching it last night, and that's coming from the Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport, who've got a YouTube channel, apparently, and on this YouTube channel they've got a live stream just running the length of the queue.
So, I fucking can't comment. I've just lost it.
This is where we are.
What the fuck am I supposed to say now? I was like, well, I mean, you know that this is an unscripted show, don't you?
They're always unscripted.
Yeah. But bloody hell, what have we come? Well, I tell you, I've got a theory here. This whole coffin queuing thing.
Oh.
And lining up to pay respects. Well, I think they have done it before. They did it for Thatcher and all that, didn't they?
I don't think they did it quite like this.
Yeah, but Thatcher wasn't the Queen.
No, she wasn't. You're absolutely right.
So anyway, I've got a theory. I think this is all to get us ready to queue for bread.
Oh. Because
that's going to be next. You're going to be queuing for days for a loaf.
Yeah, the bread lines are coming unless something changes very quickly. That's very, very true.
Yeah, I think they're just getting us ready for the Great Depression.
I mean, we don't mean to be hyperbolic. We don't mean to be...
Oh, we're not being hyperbolic. I think the depression is firmly on the cards. It's set in now. I don't think we can avoid it.
Well, it's definitely... People don't quite understand just how bad things are going to get. And it's a crying shame because it was all wholly avoidable.
Well, not closing the economy for a year would have made a big difference.
That's very, very true. Press the button.
That's true.
Luke says, maybe if the country stopped spending billions on this, we could afford bread.
You know what? In the grand scheme of things, this is a mere bagatelle. When you've already spent £37 billion on an app, remember? Mm-hmm. An app.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to question, where's the value for money in that? Because as far as I'm aware, nobody's using it.
Well, no, it does. I think they're going to try and bring it back. I think they're going to try and bring it back. I do. I think
they'll have us
that game's not over.
They'll have as much luck reanimating the Queen.
So 4.2 miles. The closest landmark currently to the end of the queue is Tower Bridge, and I don't understand this, right? And people can have a go at me for saying this, but I don't understand why people are going to queue for 5 miles to go stare at a box on a plinth covered in a flag.
I can tell you exactly why they're going to do it.
Why?
Because this is, and regardless of whether you support or don't support the monarchy, right?
Yeah.
This is an historical situation, and people want to feel part of history. That's why they do these things. That's why they go to coronations. That's why they go and look at Boris Johnson and all that when they were there at the memorial for the Queen and everything. That's why people go to these things. They want to feel part of it.
So what you're saying is they're looking.
History.
They're looking. What they're actually doing is looking for some sense of belonging because they don't have much fulfillment in their own lives.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean that does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's face it. What is the average pleb's life, right? It's sleep, get up, go to work, eat, go to more work, come home, eat, watch the telly, go to sleep, right? So
and if you're very lucky, you might get to procreate.
Well, you might, but that's probably been dealt with by something that happened over the last 2 years, so we won't see much of that.
Perhaps.
So anyway, so really, when something out of the ordinary happens, then these people flock to it because it's something for them to do.
I mean,
and they feel part of it, and they feel that they're making a difference. They went and paid their respects, and I mean that's, you know what, I'm not knocking them for that, because let's face it, leading a soulless, unenjoyable life where all you do is eat, sleep, and work, right, is very 1984ish.
And that is what our so-called elites want for us. They want us. Yeah. They want us in our boxes. They do, the idea of Agenda 2030 from the WEF. You will earn nothing until we'll be happy. They genuinely want that for us. They want us to own nothing, to essentially be mindless drones. Mm-hmm. And I'm not built for that. I don't know if anybody else is. And you know what? That does appear to fulfill some people. Some people
love working in factories. Some people just like the repetition of doing the same thing day in, day out. Some people like that. I'm not like that. You're not like that. But if we were like that, we wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be doing our minimal sleep, work as much as you fucking can, don't get paid for it, don't really eat, and abuse our bodies by sitting in a chair for like 12 hours a day. We wouldn't be doing that for the government. We're doing it for ourselves.
We're doing it for ourselves, yeah. We're doing it for ourselves, and we're doing it for our audience. And ultimately, we want people to hear what we're saying. We want people to listen to what we're saying. And ultimately, also, we do want people to agree, but we will never force people to agree. We are going to get onto the guard that's collapsed in a minute.
But, I mean, of course we saw it. Have you seen the thumbnail?
Yeah, the thumbnail to the show is the poor sod on the floor. Militant Mushroom says in the chat here, it's selective belonging. They could have been a part of history any time in the last 2 years and stood up to the hee-haw. Absolutely. Because...
Well, of course they could, but then again they couldn't, right? Because you got to remember, and it harks back to what I was saying earlier about perspective here, but you've got to remember, these people aren't you and I, right? They're not informed and they're not doing research. They're watching the TV. Mm-hmm. They're watching the BBC. They're watching ITV. They're watching Sky Sports or whatever, right? So they only get what's on mainstream TV and maybe the odd paper, right? So they're believing everything that, I mean, because they've really had no option not to believe. So just because you and I have done a bit of research and are trying to tell them different, that's not going to make any difference to them.
No, it's not.
It doesn't. And then we've tried that. It doesn't work. You can't go and browbeat people into believing you. No. All you've got to do As like Mark Changizi said, and he said it a couple of times on our shows where we spoke to him, you've got to let them come out of this one at a time.
Yep. Whatever funk
And
they are in, they
yeah,
need to come out of it.
And some of them will never come out of it.
No.
So, but this is mainstream, so they can do this and they can do this and feel good about themselves. You know what? I think they're sheep. It doesn't matter what I think. These people feel good about themselves and they're doing something that they think is helping and going to mark, a point in history. They're not saying they're going to make a big difference in history, but they were there when it happened, and they can tell their grandkids and everything that they were there when the Queen died. And hey, you want to tell your kids stories, that's fine.
Yeah, no,
fine.
You're absolutely right at the end of the day. It's not for me. I've got a funeral to attend tomorrow morning. I'm dreading it, but that was for a young man in his 20s who took his own life,
Yeah.
And that, to me, is more important than mourning the Queen.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I had, what was it? One of my friends committed suicide very early doors because of the lockdowns. And I'm actually, I'll need to speak to his widow first, but I'd like to make a short movie about it.
Oh, see, my friend, we knew him since he was a very small kid, and he just mental health got him. I'm afraid.
Yeah, but the guy I'm dealing, the guy that the guy I knew, he was in his late 50s. He had everything to live for. He didn't have any monetary issues. He was no problems. He was retired, but something happened that put him over the edge, and he just killed himself.
See, I see we've got Trudy in the chat today, and Trudy's also a parent of a child who took his own life.
Well, actually, given the circumstances over the last 2 years, I don't think these people can really be classified as suicides.
I'm going to say, I think between us, we probably know more people who took their own lives than died because of the other thing.
Yeah, and I think these people have effectively been institutionally murdered.
I would have to agree with you, but that has to be our personal opinion for obvious reasons.
Yes, of course it is.
But these people have been, the human race has been treated like a pile of dirt over the last 2.5 years, and I'm
not saying it's aliens. But
it's
aliens.
I mean, it definitely wasn't aliens. It was evil men and women in governments who did not care for you, or anybody else. And all we can do is pay tribute to these people that we've lost. And I see Trudy there once again, and all I can say to you is we are very sorry for what happened. No amount of words are ever going to bring these people back to us, and we have to find a way to go on and honor them all as best as we can, right?
Yep. Anyway, so what about the girl that fainted? So it was early in the morning, wasn't it?
So it looks, I don't know the exact time, but from Disclose.tv's tweet, it was probably about 1:30 in the morning. It looks to me like these people have probably been forced to stand there for hours in massive heavy clothing, and the dude's just gone bang.
Well, you know what? They're probably volunteers, to be fair.
Oh yeah.
So they're not forced to stand there, but that's the part of they want to be part of the vigil. Mm-hmm. They want to feel they've done their part. They're standing up for their queen and all that. And yeah, the problem is when you're doing something like this, and you see it happen all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So this isn't new. This is something that does happen all the time, especially in parades and things.
Yeah.
If you stop paying attention and you let your mind wander, right?
Yeah.
You can zone out to the point where you just fall over.
And also, okay, because we're not saying it's definitely not the other thing. It could well have been the other thing.
Well, it could have been, but
we can't say that it was.
We can't speculate on that because
With-
this is something that does happen. That's it. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna have to go for the minute. I'm sorry.
That's no problem. I will continue with the show.
Okay. Right. Bye.
Right. So we can't 100% speculate that it was or was not the other thing. However, I've got to do this by myself now. I haven't done this for a while. However, there is a lot of chatter on social media, isn't there? There's a lot of chatter on social media with regards to what it could have been, but we have to look at it for what it is, and it's something that it's happened at 1:30 in the morning. It's happened to a guard. It could well have simply been sheer exhaustion at the end of the day. Jess, some countries, it's not being recommended for under 50s, yes, and that's with regards to the treatment, but it's not to a major amount of countries at this time. Tisley says, as someone who has mental health problems, the government has done a good job at fucking us over constantly. Well, I've been re-referred to the autism clinic recently because of my mental health being through the floor. And what they have said to me is, I can see a specialist in 2 years. In 2 years. So, I completely understand where you're coming from there. They are absolutely screwing us. The NHS is not open for business. They are not seeing us as they should. It's a travesty. It's an absolute travesty. And this harkens back to exactly what is going to cause the Great Depression. They shut everything down. They shut the economy. They shut the NHS. They shut it all off. And as such, we've all been screwed over. Tisley says, for trauma-related mental health, it's 4 years. All I can do is sit here and shake my head and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that people are going through that. And if there was a way that I could make it better, I would. Trudy says, it's a joke and not a funny one. Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And at this point, I would just like to ask, if you are watching on YouTube or on Twitch, if you could click that like button and share. There is a little share button down below. Share it out, let people know we're live and to come and see us. We are thinking, and I would like some feedback from the audience here, we are thinking about sacking off evening shows altogether and just doing Monday to Friday at 1 PM for this show. Content would still come out in the evening off stream, and content would obviously come out on the weekends as well, but we don't get a break. Me and John don't get a break with the way we're doing things at the moment, and we kind of want our evenings back, and we kind of want our weekends back. So we are thinking about Monday to Friday, 1 PM live. It'll obviously available to watch back on all platforms, and then off-stream content. Jesse says, but I watch when Jamie's at work. You can always watch it back, Jess. You don't have to watch it live. But that's what we're thinking. Let me know. Let me know down in the comments. And thank you for clicking that like button, those of you that have. And obviously that share button if you have as well. So, this is where we are. As a country, we are bracing ourselves, watching a queue. We are watching. If we're not in the queue, we're watching the queue. And Coffin Watch is trending on Twitter. I mean, there really is no other news in the world right now, is there? Well, if there is, it's not being allowed to filter through our mainstream channels, and that's what we're here for. And until John actually returns, this show is going to be slightly derailed because we need to look at climate change. And we've got some things to say about climate change today. We've come prepared. Trudy says, do what is best for you both. You need time out for yourselves and your family. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Ollie says, good afternoon, Ben. Good afternoon, Ollie. I see you there. I hope you are well. And for those of you who don't know who Ollie is, if you're in the chat right now, we have a second channel. And that second channel is called Liberté Media, youtube.com/Liberté, Liberty with an E instead of a Y, Media. And we look at pop culture, we do travel, we do general vlogs. If we're on a day out, we'll film it, we'll put it up there. And we do a weekly live show on a Saturday where we look at the failings of the Walt Disney Company called Dismal Disney. And Ollie down there in the chat, he is the host, the main host of Dismal Disney. He guides us through the show effortlessly with his iPad of stories, and we just laugh together about the trappings and the bad things that are going on with the Walt Disney Company. Trudy says, I'm surprised Zelensky isn't in the queue. We're taking bets over here, actually. Do we think Volodymyr Zelensky will turn up to the Queen's funeral? Do we think he's been invited? Do we think he will turn up? Or do we think he will just look at it remotely, just like everybody else? Why? Jesse says, didn't he get into a car crash? Yes, apparently he did get into a car crash, and what? There was no damage, no injury, no nothing. And also there was apparently a massive bang heard by Putin's motorcade yesterday as well. Militant Mushroom says he's been VIP fast-tracked, no lining up for him. Well, you've got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, the lining up, the standing for 30 hours plus to go and look at a box on a plinth with a flag draped over it is for us, it's for the plebs. If Liz Truss wants to turn up and go to see the coffin at any time in the next few days, Liz Truss can just walk in. If anybody powerful wants to turn up and go look at the coffin, they can just walk in. The queuing up is for us. It's not for them. And I get what John was saying. I really do. I get what John was saying in that people want to feel part of history and all of that. But it's just, in my view, it's just another example of how the elites think they're better than us. Because they aren't standing in that queue. They aren't. Exactly right, Jesse. It's for us peasants. Ollie is saying hello to everybody there in the chat, and it's nice to see you all talking as well. Where is John? He's left me high and dry here to hold a show. Oh, you just the visuals guy, he's off doing something else. My co-host just abandoned me partway through a show, and I'm starting to feel a bit left out, a bit lonely, a bit, yeah. Holly says it was about 3 hours this morning, apparently, if you got there about 6 a.m. I don't think that's really the case, because it's now 4.2 miles long, Ollie. The queue is 4.2 miles long. The closest landmark to the queue currently is Tower Bridge. I can have a look at the live queue tracker, and I can tell you if it's changed at all. Let me have a look for you. Let's go to live. The queue is approximately 4.3 miles long, and the nearest landmark is now Tower Bridge. And for those of you who would like to have a look at the live queue tracker for yourself, you can do so on YouTube. Just put in queue tracker lying in state. It's the top one from the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport. So it's a government YouTube channel. 4.3 miles. And Trudy Stringer says, off topic slightly, but the Dan Wootton thing. Oh, he's a tit, isn't he? I'm just gonna a quiet moment of reflection. He doesn't have such a strong accent, but he got somebody to film that for him. Him having paying his respects multiple times, we're having several takes of this. Make sure I get the right one to put it out on Twitter. What a tit! If they had a tit of the week, Dan Wootton would be it, in my view. We're going to start a new segment. I think we're going to run it on Fridays, called Black Gary's Gaff of the Week. And we're going to see what idiotic thing Gary Lineker has done this week. That's coming. Militant Mushroom says, the Wooten clip reversed was hilarious. So whilst we are waiting for John, I'll give you a bit of news. Here's some news. Here's some exciting news. Heinz, not just Heinz, but many other companies must change their labeling following the death of the Queen. Because there are some 620 companies in this country that use the royal coat of arms on their packaging. And they have to do it. They have to change it now because the Queen's passed away. So they have to now change. They've got 2 years. They've got 24 months. So Jaguar, Twinings Tea, Heinz, among many, many others, must now change their packaging. I mean, look at the bureaucracy of this world. Look at the bureaucracy of everything. 600 plus companies must remove the coat of arms from their labelling and replace it with King Charles' coat of arms. However, there is also a snag. There is another snag to this. They have to prove that their products are being used in the royal household in order to be eligible to use the coat of arms. Oh dear. Deary me. Roughly 30 royal warrants are permitted each year, and an equal number also get withdrawn. So basically, if the royal family stop using your shit, you can't use their coat of arms anymore. Applicants are also required to demonstrate that they have an appropriate environmental and sustainability policy and action plan. Oh, Charles is going to be all over this, isn't he? Oh, those peasants aren't following my climate change agenda. They can't use my coat of arms. Brands of food and drink companies that were approved warrants by the late Queen Elizabeth include Cadbury, Coca-Cola, Premier Foods, Unilever, British Sugar, Britvic, Martini, Dubonnet, Johnny Walker, the famous grouse. So many. And now they have to change their packaging. They have to change everything. Additionally, around 620 businesses such as Bentley, Jaguar and Land Rover, Barber, Burberry, Boots, Clarins, Molton Brown, Hunter and Mappin and Webb, who were also permitted warrants by Her late Majesty the Queen, now have 24 months to ensure the coat of arms are phased out on their goods. The Royal Warrant Holders Association confirmed businesses are able to reapply to the new king, but they must also be able to validate that they supply products or services on a regular and ongoing basis to the royal households for not less than 5 years of the past 7. Wow. Bureaucracy. Everything is just designed to screw you over one way or another. And I wonder if they have to pay some kind of royalty to the royalty for this coat of arms. And it wouldn't surprise me if they did. I am shocked. So going back to Putin anyway, let's move on to Putin for a minute. I'm just looking through the news and seeing, whilst we wait for John here, my apologies. Putin suffers assassination attempt after official car attacked with bomb. We can see here. The anti-Putin General SVR Telegram channel reports that several of Putin's close protection team have gone missing following what they say was a bomb attack on the Russian leader's official limousine. I heard this as well. Militant Mushroom says, list bugs in your ingredients. Job done. So what happened here? Vladimir Putin's car reportedly been attacked in what appears to have been a possible assassination attempt A loud bang was heard from the Russian leader's official limousine as heavy smoke came from the vicinity of its left front wheel. So, looks like somebody either possibly tried to bomb Putin or his car's gone on the fritz. We can't really tell here from this. Car drove to safety with Putin unharmed, and there have been multiple arrests from his security service, while some of Putin's bodyguards have reportedly vanished amid claims of secret information about the 69-year-old ruler's movements was compromised, says General SVR Telegram channel. So, either someone tried to bomb Putin or his car went kaput. You can't really tell from this. The Kremlin has yet to confirm or deny the reports. According to the anti-Kremlin channel, Putin was travelling back to his official residence on an unspecified date in a decoy or backup motorcade amid deep security fears. Well, yeah, you're not gonna. If you're Vladimir Putin, and even if you're Volodymyr Zelensky, right? Even if you're Liz Truss, really, you're not gonna, unless you're in a high-profile public event, you're not really going to be travelling around in the official car, surely. You're going to be travelling around in some kind of backup car. You're going to be going a completely different method of transport, even. You might, stick on a rubber mask and go on a train. You're not going to do that. But you never know. You never know. Right. I'm going to take a little break here just for a second to talk to you about the importance of free speech. Now, some of you may have seen this before. You may not have, but I just want to stress to you the importance of free speech. When social media companies censor information they deem to be misinformation that turns out to be absolutely true, information that could potentially lead to somebody developing a health problem, are they liable? That's the question I want to ask today. Over the past 2.5 years, social media companies have been actively censoring anything they deem to be misinformation, even when that information turns out to be true. Information that has been censored over the last 2.5 years could have actually led to better health choices for certain people, potentially cost lives, potentially led to people not being able to make informed choices. When that information is censored, removed, deleted, and people go and make choices because they were unable to access that information, who's liable? Is it the social media company? Is it the people advising the social media company? Are the social media companies even acting as platforms? I think they're acting as publishers. And at what point do we treat them as publishers? In the United States, social media companies largely benefit from Section 230 protections that protect them from being liable for anything published on their platform, because they are just that, a platform. Same as the phone company, because the phone company did not publish that information, somebody used them as a platform in order to convey that information. Now, social media platforms largely benefit from this protection because they are not meant to curate the content that's on their platform. But they do. They actively do. They censor one side of any debate, one side of any argument, if it doesn't fit with whatever narrative the so-called activists working at the social media companies want to convey. And this becomes a problem because at what point do we say these people genuinely are publishers? Look at Twitter, for example, the amount of conservatives that they have censored. They censored a sitting president of the United States because of a narrative that they believed to be true. Coming back to my original question, when these social media companies censor information, actively censor information because they deem it to be misinformation, and yet several months down the line start allowing that information because it turns out it was bang on the money, it was true, it was accurate, at what point do they become liable for any potential harm that may have occurred because people were not allowed to access that information? And at what point do we start a lawsuit? At what point do people who have been injured or bereaved because they were not allowed access to certain sides of a debate turn on the social media companies and say, you had this information, you knew this information was there, people were conveying this information, you actively censored it? Who's liable? Is it the social media company? I'll leave that one up to you. There you go. That's the importance of free speech in my view. And we can talk about this for a few minutes because I'm not going to be able to continue the show much longer because we've heard that John is now basically stuck. He's really held up in a situation So I can only apologise for that. But free speech is something that we are losing. We are losing rapidly. We're not just losing it here in the United Kingdom, but even our American cousins who covet free speech are losing it. Now, it's not being censored over there via legal means yet. Social media companies are doing it for them. Social media companies and their nebulous terms of service. And it's such an important thing to hold on to. It really, really is. We need to hold on to free speech. And we need to hold those companies' feet to the fire when they start censoring people. Twitter censor conservatives all of the time in the United States. And I'm not a conservative. I've never been a conservative. But seeing it happen is very concerning and worrying to me. People should be able to express their opinions. People should be able to express how they feel. People should be able to express something that you don't like, that you don't find palatable. And do I even think racists should be allowed to express their opinion? I'd prefer that they did. And the reason I prefer that they did is because then I know who they are. And I don't have to associate with them. And I don't have to be friends with them. But, thank you, Adam. Wise words indeed. Well, I hope so. Tisley here says people getting arrested for protesting against the monarchy. And that's what pushed me to make that video. Watching people holding up signs saying things like, "Not my king." Being arrested. For expressing an opinion. Yeah, sure, maybe they're not doing it in the right place at the right time, in a view of other people. Maybe it's upsetting or offending some people. But since when has offence been an excuse for people, thugs in uniform, to take away your freedom? Offence is not even a real thing. Really? I could say, someone could call me by my name. Somebody could say, "Hi, Ben." And I could say, "Oh, I'm offended by that. That upsets me. That offends me." Does that mean that now I can have them arrested? Does it? Because it's so subjective. It's like the idea of hate speech. Hate speech. How can hate speech in its legally defined form in the UK exist? How can it? Because it's entirely dependent on the so-called receiver of the speech and how they see what you have said. So you might have said something completely normal, completely fine, not hateful at all. But if they decide it's hateful, then you can get arrested. You can get charged. You could be imprisoned. You could be fined. If we don't speak up against this, if we don't fight back against this, then what world are we leaving for our children? That's the question that I'll leave you with today. Well, I can only apologise that we have not been able to do a full show this afternoon. I can only apologise for that. Circumstances happen, circumstances occur, and unfortunately, John is not able to return this afternoon. However, if you have enjoyed it and you are on YouTube, please subscribe, please like, please share. If you're not on YouTube, you should be on YouTube, youtube.com/Chasing Dissent Official. And if you are able to, and if you can afford to support us at a few £1 a month, then please consider becoming a subscriber on Patreon, Subscribestar, or Ko-Fi. Patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, Subscribestar.com/Chasing Dissent, or indeed ko-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. And you get the perk. So every Wednesday and every Sunday night, we are going to do something called the After Party. We might move the Sunday if we're going to be moving the shows. But twice a week, you'll be able to come into basically a live version of the show where you get involved as well. You come in on video call. We don't broadcast it. And it's good fun. And it's just a little something extra we do for people that support us. And we really do appreciate all of the support that we get. Not just financially, but all round. So I'm off. We will be back here. Don't worry, because we will be back here at 9 p.m. tonight with hopefully what's only going to be our only evening show of the week. Down the rabbit hole with Ed the Techie, and we're asking, who shot JFK? Hold on a minute. Before I do let you go, he's fucking back. He's back.
Hello, people.
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
I was signing off the show.
Oh, sorry. Well, okay. Well, thanks everyone. It's been great. Right. Sorry. I'm really sorry about that. But,
is it okay? Shall we soldier on for another 20 minutes?
If you want. What time is it? Yeah.
Okay. We're soldiering.
Right.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Bring me up to speed. I've just been going on a tirade about free speech.
Yeah, you tend to do that a lot. Because there isn't any.
No, there isn't. Yes, John is back from the deadbeats crate. So we will continue on. We will continue on with this show. And then when people watch it back, John will do his due diligence and cut out my sign-off, won't you, John?
Yeah, of course I will.
Yeah, there we go. There we go indeed. So we were going to talk about climate change, weren't we, today, John?
Yes, we were. That's true.
Let's do it.
That's true. How dare you?
I'm going to leave. This is your segment, John. You are gonna guide us through this. I'm gonna sit back and relax because I've just been holding the audience for ages.
Yeah, no, and that's quite fair because yes, you've done a sterling job, Ben.
I know
I have. Job. I even tried to join from my phone, but that didn't work either. But anyway, okay, so I'm just going to read you dates and events that were prophesized.
By prophesized, do you mean that models showed that things would happen?
Models, scientists, ecologists, everyone agreed. The consensus was these things were going to happen.
The climate consensus.
Yeah, the consensus at the time was these things were going to happen, and
go on then.
Spoiler: none of them have.
Well, I know this already.
Right, so 1966, oil will be gone.
Hold on.
Yeah.
England will win the World Cup.
Yeah, okay.
That happened.
Did they really? Anyway, 1966, oil will be gone in 10 years.
That was a fair while ago, John.
Yes, it was, and we're still getting oil out of the ground. 1967, we will have terrible famines across the world by 1975. Nope, that didn't happen either.
Due to what?
Due to climate change.
Okay.
1968. Overpopulation will spread worldwide and we won't have any space. No. We've got 8 billion people on the planet and you could fit everyone in Texas.
Yeah, we've got plenty of space.
And still have half of it left over.
Still got plenty of space.
Yep. 1969. Everyone will disappear in a cloud of blue steam by 1989. I'm not quite sure where that one came from. 1970. The world will use up all its natural resources by the year 2000.
We're still finding them.
Indeed. 1970. Urban citizens will require gas masks by 1985. Only in Shanghai. 1970. Nitrogen build-up will make all land unusable.
By when?
Just generally.
I don't think that's the case. Aren't we still?
No, it's not. We're still farming.
Still farming.
Well, we're trying to. In fact, we're still putting nitrogen in the ground because the plants take it out.
Yeah.
1970, decaying pollution will kill all the fish. Still fishing. Still fighting about fishing.
Still fighting about fishing. Still got a wonderful barrier reef over there in Australia.
1970, killer African bees will take over and kill us all. No, they haven't. Still waiting on that one. 1970, we will be in an ice age by the year 2000. An ice age.
I mean, it's 2022, and I must say, it's getting chilly.
Because winter is coming.
I'm just saying, it's getting a little bit chilly.
1970, America will be subject to water rationing by 1974 and food rationing by 1980. Can't say I noticed.
Can't say I noticed.
Portions doesn't seem to get any smaller.
No.
1971, new ice age coming by 2020.
Still not that cold.
Or 2030. They're now hedging their bets. 1972, new ice age by 2070.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Right. 1972, oil will be totally depleted in 20 years.
Nope.
That would take it 1992. Nope, still using oil. 1974, space satellites show that the new ice age is coming fast.
Is it? How fast?
Well, it's not fast enough. That was
about as fast as me on my walking stick, it would appear.
Yeah. 1974, another ice age is coming.
Is it? When?
Yeah. 1974, ozone depletion, a great peril to life.
The hole in the ozone layer, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, it doesn't seem to have been because we're still breeding and getting more and more people.
I can't argue with that.
1976, the science consensus was that the planet was cooling and massive famines will be imminent.
Before we go on,
Yeah.
did I just make this up?
Yeah. I think it's all made up. 1977, Department of Energy says peak oil in 1990. No, never happened. 1978, no end in sight to 30-year cooling trend.
Oh, Jesus Christ, come on.
That was 1978. Right?
Come on.
So 1980, acid rain will kill all life in lakes. What are these guys fishing for in lakes and pulling out of them?
Do you know what? There are people somewhere on the planet today that haven't had a wash in a while, got dreaded hair, standing probably with one of them in the UK. She likes to get her tits out a lot for exposure. You know the one I'm talking about.
Right.
With the Extinction Rebellion. Screaming about how these same prophesizers,
Yeah.
what they're saying is true. It's all true.
Yeah. Well,
the end is nigh, John.
Yeah, they're doing it right now. 1980, peak oil in 2000, right? Nope, never happened. 1988, regional droughts, never happened.
Nope.
Temperatures in DC will hit record highs. That was in 1988. Well, have they? I don't think they have.
I don't know.
1988, the Maldives will be underwater by 2018.
Didn't they just build a new airport?
Yes, they did just build a new airport.
Didn't they just build a new airport?
Because they're increasing their tourist capacity. But I don't know where these tourists are going because the Maldives are underwater.
It must be underwater, but they're
No,
going
they're not.
They're going
They're
scuba
not.
diving, John.
Yeah, but the islands are still there.
Yeah.
Anyway, 1989, rising sea levels will obliterate nations if nothing is done by the year 2000. Note, nothing was done by the year 2000. and nations are still waiting to be obliterated.
So DW says in the chat, this list needs to be a YouTube short.
Yeah, well, it's too long. It's too long to be a YouTube short.
It could be a YouTube short series.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. Where was I? 1989. New York City's West Side Highway will be underwater by 2019.
Is it underwater, John?
No, it's not. 1996. Peak oil in 2020.
These are the same people who are forcing you into net zero.
Yeah. 2000. Children. Oh, this is serious now. It's about the children. Right. Children will not know what snow is.
But they definitely won't know what Snow White is because she's Latina now.
2002. Famine in 10 years if we don't give up eating fish, meat and dairy. So they were at it then. They were still at it in 2002.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up eating fish, meat and dairy.
No, neither am I. 2002. Peak oil in 2010.
All right, yeah.
Right. That didn't happen.
No.
2004. Britain. Now this is only what, 18 years ago. 2004. Britain will be like Siberia by 2024.
But that was one really fucking hot summer we just had, John.
I've never been in Siberia, to be fair, and I've never been in Siberia during summer.
No.
So I don't know if that's representative, but Siberia doesn't look that bad. If that's the case.
Well, Siberia must be a rather warm climate.
It's probably a freer regime than we've got just now.
Yeah.
Anyway, 2005. Manhattan will be underwater by 2015.
Is it?
No, it's not.
No, it's definitely not, no.
2006, we will have super hurricanes every year. Multiple super hurricanes. Hold on. We haven't had a decent hurricane for we had some last year, but before that there'd been like a 5-year gap when there was really no hurricanes.
And I will say, here in the UK especially, the last hurricane to really make land was 1987, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Fish, eh?
Yeah.
Oh,
good old Michael. There won't be a hurricane.
There won't be a hurricane. That's just nonsense.
Won't be a hurricane. I mean, Michael Fish is just the representative of how wrong these people are.
Yeah, and the Met Office have probably got the best computer going. Right. Anyway, 2008, which is now only 12 years. Sorry. Yeah, 12 years ago? No, 14 years ago. 14 years ago. That's 2002. Yeah. So 2008, 14 years ago, the Arctic will be ice-free by 2018.
Isn't it got the highest amount of ice it's ever had? It's thickening, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty close to record levels at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's looking like it's going to break the records this year. 2008.
Right.
Al Gore predicts Arctic will be ice-free by 2013.
Oh, good old Al.
No. 2009.
We love you, Al. We love you.
Here we go. Climate genius Prince, now King Charles, says we have 96 months to save the world. How are we still here, Charlie? How are we still here? 2009. UK Prime Minister says we have 50 days to save the planet from catastrophe. Sorry. Catastrophe.
Sometimes I have to translate the Scottish for y'all.
Yeah, sometimes I can't even get my words out myself.
It's our language. Right. He bloody ruined it.
Yes. Right. Okay. Climate genius Al Gore makes 2013 prediction of ice-free Arctic by 2021.
How many more of these are there?
No, there's not many more. 2013, the Arctic will be ice-free by 2016, right?
Right.
2014, over only 500 days till climate chaos. 500 days is only a year and a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in 2014. No climate chaos.
No climate chaos.
Last one. 2019.
So we were 3 years ago.
Yeah, Greta, you need to convince us. Because the models aren't cutting it.
No, they're not right. They're not right. I'm sorry, but they've never been right.
But now we are in the category, right? So that then probably puts us in the category of climate denials.
Well, the climate changes, John. The climate is changing. The climate always changes.
I would never deny that the climate changes.
Nope.
I think we tend to call it the weather, but even so. but see that big glowing thing in the sky? That has probably more to do with anything about climate than anything that us mere mortals do running about on the lands of the realm. They've been using realm an awful lot, haven't they?
And also,
like, we started watching House of the Dragon and what was that other one? Lord of the Rings.
The Rings of Power.
Watched one episode, and they all use realm a lot, and then the Queen dies, and now everybody's using realm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why is realm not trending? What does realm mean? I haven't looked it up. Maybe I should look it up.
What I will say is this. What I will say is this. It's that list that you've just read us, John. That list that you've just read us is extensive. It is.
It's long and extensive.
It's long and extensive, and it's hilarious because
it's ridiculous.
The people that, and I'm going to say, I might get some flack for this, right? But the people who follow Extinction Rebellion, the people that follow Just Stop Oil, that genuinely believe that these absolute garbage models are true, and that's what they are. They're garbage. If they genuinely believe that, I don't know whether to pity them or laugh at them at this point, because these climate scientists have never got anything right. Never. They don't get it right. They're grifters. It's the climate gravy train, and they will ride panic and fear all the way to the bank. That is right. What they're doing.
There's only one scientist really at the moment that says things as they are, and believe it or not, it's Michio Kaku.
I know who that is.
He's a Japanese he's of Japanese descent. He's an American astrophysicist.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's the only one that says it right, because he says, most science is getting stuff wrong at the moment, and it's about 10 to the power, 10 to the power 5 or 10 to the power 2 or something.
Yeah.
Awry. Okay. Which is 10 followed by 2 zeros or 5 zeros. So it's quite a lot out. He says, except for cosmology, which is his 40 at the moment, right? He says, in cosmology, we are like 10 to the power 120 off the mark. He says, cosmology is just a complete and utter mess. Now, I would contend that climate science isn't far behind them.
I would contend that you're absolutely right as well. And the only reason that they hammer this narrative, that the mainstream media hammer climate change as the next big thing, is because it keeps you fearful, it keeps you scared, and it can keep you in line, right?
Yeah.
When they say
I might make my own list. Things that kept you scared.
Yeah.
Through the ages.
Yeah, and this is how our governments rule, isn't it? They rule by fear. And our cultural institutions as well. They rule by fear. Because if a scared population is a controlled population to an extent. Now, the last 2.5 years.
A happy population can go and do things that you have no conception that they're going to do. So they are a loose cannon, and they cannot and must not be allowed.
No, I mean, I personally speaking, I'm a loose cannon. And my wife, when
Yes, but there's not enough of you. That's the problem.
This is it. And my wife, when she questions why I've done something, what the hell are you doing? Why are you done? I say, you know what you signed up for, woman? So you knew this was going to happen. One day you're going to find me in, full women's clothing in the middle of London. I might do it. I can do anything. I woke up one morning a couple of years back. I woke up one morning, got in the car and drove to Paris.
Yeah.
My wife's like, why are you in Paris? I was like, felt like going for a drive. When you coming back? I booked a hotel. I'll be back in 3 days, dear. Remember when things like that were cheap?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all this is about. The people that scream and protest and chant and wail, they're useful idiots. They are, and I want to emphasize that word idiot, because this list that you've just read out is available to all. And it's proof perfect that these so-called scientists have no idea what they're talking about. Now, science is meant to be a question. It's not meant to be a solution. It's meant to be debunking something rather than proving something. It's supposed to be looking at the last person's theory and going, well, they got that wrong there because I can say that this was wrong about that. But that's not what science has morphed into, especially over the last couple of years.
You're right. You're 100% right, because what science has morphed into over the last, the last few decades is really a mathematical wormhole.
Yeah,
that
absolutely
makes no sense whatsoever, because if you spend long enough on the math, you can make anything come true. It's like statistics, If you spend long enough on them, you can make anything.
There is literally
a way of thinking.
There is literally a book called "How to Lie with Statistics."
Yes.
How to lie with statistics. Yeah, of course he does. He's got it on his shelf there, isn't he?
He does have. Yeah, and then there's the other thing. The other off-quoted phrase. There are lies, damned lies, and then there are statistics.
Absolutely. And with that, I think it might be time to actually draw this down to a conclusion. What do you think, John?
Yes, I think so. Obviously, I've been absent for the majority of it, and to that, dear viewer, dear audience, I wholeheartedly apologise, and I extend my heartfelt thanks and admiration to Ben for carrying on gamely without me.
You left me in a real You left me in a real tight spot there, John.
Thank you, Ben.
No, I want to hear it again.
Thank you, Ben.
You're very welcome. And one more time before we do go, if you have, and I know times are tough right now, but if you have a few quid spare and you think you're able to support us, help us build this brand, then please consider going to patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, or indeed subscribestar.com/Chasing Dissent, or co-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. Look at them puppy eyes over there, right? Just look at them. John needs to eat. Okay? He's lost 32 pounds in the last few weeks. He needs to eat.
Update coming tomorrow.
Update coming tomorrow. There we go. But no, we understand if people can't, but we would really appreciate if you could help us out just with a monthly donation, just a few quid. If you can't, you can't. Fair enough. Anyway, John, close the show.
So I'd like to thank you one and all for this impromptu, or, well, not impromptu, but relatively short notice episode of Chasing Dissent Live. Thank you for attending episode 122.
And join us at 9 p.m.
It's been your pleasure.
Join us at 9 p.m. tonight as we go down the rabbit hole, find out who really shot JFK. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience to talk. Good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.